All right, what's up, family? It's your boy John Bacon from the Bitz podcast. Thank you so much for your support, likes, and ratings. Please don't just listen, but rate me, follow me, and subscribe. This is an amazing way to offer free support. My beautiful queen and I have some books that we have written for your growth.
So the first book we have is a workbook, actually. It's called Healthy Relationships, and this is a workbook through the lens of faith. Because what makes a relationship healthy or unhealthy? So this workbook is designed, it's a 12-week, it's a biblically grounded course, and every week has a few different principles. So if some of our principles, some of our topics that we're covering are respect, cultivating security. And this is not just between a husband and wife. This is between parents, between siblings, between friends, between your bosses, employers. So it's really important, and everyone deserves a healthy relationship.
And also we have The Balanced Life by John Bacon. It covers how to be prosperous in your finances, relationships, your health, your mind, and your spirit. And we also have
The Unraveling, a creative healing journal, pinings, poems, prayers, and ponderings of my precarious life. I've had a testimony of I've had 2 brain tumors and 2 brain surgeries, and I'm super grateful, but I'm still grieving the process of healing. And this is part of the process. In this book, you have devotionals, you have prayers, and you have some ponderings. And in between these pages, there's a space for you to also be prompted to paint and to create your own, or maybe you want to write something in these books. This is part of your creative healing journal that we get to walk through together.
And you guys can just head over to Kingdom Servants First. Kingdom Servants, the number 1, st.com. And you can purchase all 3 of these books. Thank you for your support, your love, and your contributions. God bless. Welcome, family, to the Bitz podcast, where we desire for you to take the bits of information and immediately apply them to your life for success. The ground rules for our podcast is that it will always be encouraging, uplifting, and informative. The areas of life that we will be talking about on the Bitz podcast is dealing with having a balanced life. And you know I always need to hear these words at the beginning of the podcast. Say these words out loud. Valuable information applied equals success. We want everybody that listens to this podcast not to just listen, not just to be just informative, but to apply the information to be successful. And I am so proud and happy to have one of the most phenomenal young men I've ever met in my life. He is here to share something with us that we desperately need in our lives, but a lot of us struggle with it. And that is this wonderful thing called life insurance. Yes, I know it's hard for us to think about this because this is one of those serious topics sometimes that we don't want to talk about, but it's something that desperately needs to be talked about because if you really love your family and you want the best for them, this is something that you need to talk about with your family. So let me introduce to some and welcome to a whole lot of people, my wonderful brother, Nate McKelvey. Welcome to the podcast, Nate.
Thank you so much, John, for having me on today, Brother John.
It is such a blessing to have you here, man. And I know how much of a blessing that you've been to me with getting my life insurance policies in order because I'm not getting any younger, and that's something I desperately needed to get in order. So I am so grateful that you're here to share this information with the people because I want everybody that's in my life to have some insurance for the people that they love because none of us are promised tomorrow. So we have to truly understand that if I love my loved ones, and I know there's no piece of paper that's in my wallet or any young lady's purse that says they're going to live to see tomorrow. How much do I love the people by being proactive in the care I have for my family members? So, Nate, I have some questions for you, brother.
All right.
Because I want my people to be informed and want them to have the best in life. So what are the different types of life insurance that there are?
Well, that's a great question, John. And before I begin, just want to say Happy Liam to you. So that's Life Insurance Awareness Month. And so this is proper. It's proper that we discuss the different types because there are different types. And knowing why you have them and how they fit into your portfolio of protection is a big deal, And so many people, you'll say they know that they have coverage, but to know what you have and where you have it, that's what's going to make the difference in your loved one's life. But there are about 3 terms. I work for New York Life, and so there's 3 specific life insurance policies that we use. One is term, one is universal life, and then one is whole life. The differences between them each is term is a temporary policy. It is not meant to be in your portfolio permanently. And so the cost on a term policy is always increasing. You may be able to lock in the premium on that policy for a period of time. You will not lose your coverage, but after that time period ends, you will find that cost has grown exponentially because you are now older.
Yes, sir. You are correct on that. I'm learning.
And so many people have term through their employer. It's temporary. Again, once you leave that employer, that life insurance stays with that employer. Which one is best? It's always good. It depends on where you're at in life, but I always, depending on the person I'm with, I recommend 2 at a time. But the next one is universal. And universal is kind of like a hybrid policy. And so it works as a little bit of term and it works a little bit as a whole life policy. But it's term in the example that its cost is always increasing on you. Mm-hmm. Okay. It's a false whole life or permanent policy because it has this word called cash value. And when people see the word cash value, they think, oh, I can borrow from that. Well, you can't necessarily. You can borrow from that in a universal policy, but the cash value truly in a universal policy is used to pick up on those costs as that policy gets more expensive later on in life. And so the cash value is going to supplement whatever your premiums are and the difference of your premiums, because people like universal policies because the premium that you pay monthly is flexible. Mm-hmm. So you can choose it. But if you fund it low, that cash value is going to be there to supplement it, to keep it going further down the road. Yeah. And then there's whole life. And so whole life is a policy where your premiums don't increase. You lock in your death benefit. You have access to your cash value. And it's going to be with you for the duration of your life as long as you're making your premiums. And so I always, again, when making recommendations and depending on people on their stages, a young person like myself with a family, I have term because if something happens to me tomorrow, I need to maximize the benefit that goes to my wife and to take care of my 3 boys. But then thinking further down the road and also supplementing my policy, my portfolio, I have whole life as well. So as I get older and I fall out of the terms of the costs of term and it's no longer affordable for me, I have something permanent on my policy to then leave behind to my family. Then I also have this little bit of savings built into the policy to be able to, offset whatever costs may come in with life at that time.
Yeah, no, that's really awesome, because one of the things that I wish somebody would have schooled me on earlier was the difference in the life insurance policies, because I bought term because I knew from what I was promised that like within a month that I first got the policy was in case something to happen to me, my wife would instantly get that amount of money. And I have a great insurance company with State Farm. I know they're not paying me for this, but down the line they will be. Was super grateful for the insurance that they placed on me, because I had a 20-year term for $250,000. So I was super excited about that. So if something happened to me between the ages of 45, and I think I have it all the way up to 65, I think, that my wife would get, that's $250,000. She ain't got to worry about, standing on the corner doing no car washes and no fish fries, trying to get me enough money to, bury me. And that happens a lot because we live here in Tucson, Arizona, and almost every weekend we see some people standing out on the corner trying to raise money at a car wash to bury their loved ones. And that's sad, because that person, even though they might have been a phenomenal mom, phenomenal dad, grandma, granddad, they weren't looking out for the people that they love by leaving behind enough money, to bury them and have a cushion in their life, because that person's income is no longer going to be coming in. So I think life insurance, even though it might not be what we supposedly call a sexy, topic to talk about, it is definitely something that needs to be talked about. So I'm so glad that you helped out with that. Thank you so much, Nate.
Oh, and, in your own planning, One of the things when we spoke together, you say longevity is runs in your family, and you do well to take care of yourself. And so as that term policy won't drop off, but will become more expensive after 65, we did some planning with permanent life insurance to make sure that something truly is guaranteed to stay within your family and leave a legacy behind, or supplement your wife if something were to happen to you. So that's how the two work together, because at some point that term policy, like you said, it has some choices that you got to make about it.
And I'm so grateful that you did that, because one of the things that I would highly suggest for people, and this is just not with life insurance, but we have to have some great relationships in our life. So I have great relationships with my insurance brothers. I have some great relationships with a mechanic. I got a great relationship with my doctor, and I have a great relationship with my tax man. And those are some great relationships that you want to have in your life as an adult. But one of the things I wanted to talk about, Nate, was this wonderful thing of the sooner you buy your life insurance, the better. So we was talking about, because I'm 55 currently at this time, and my policy costs over $300 a month to have $100,000 of life insurance coverage. So it's another young man that we know. He bought his life insurance, and I think he's in his 30. Okay. And it was amazing the price difference from a 55-year-old to a 30-year-old. So Nate, can you expound on that?
Yes, and so life insurance is it is based on mortality, and so the closer you are to expiring ages, the higher cost is. Also, if you have health conditions, it can either cause you to be declined right away, or you can get rated. And so you, being exceptional in health, got a great rating, and so that's a great, healthy $300 for you. And so we also got to celebrate those wins that I am insured. But following that, there is a pricing scale that's included in that. But you're right. The earlier we put it in, the sooner we can lock in lower costs. But again, having various models and understanding of what we have in our portfolio can really benefit us. And so, I know that you speak a lot to family, and so, especially in our community, it's about planning. And so, if you have your coverage taken care of, I always recommend you start looking behind at the next generation. And so, that young man at 30, his policy is half of your costs, but me being prepared for my 3 boys and wanting them to also have families and be able to take care of their families if something were to happen, they're half of his costs. And so I have begun planning for them with permanent life insurance as well. And the benefits of that, again, death benefit is guaranteed. We don't, children are susceptible to accidents, and so I would need time to heal from that. And so that's in there, but also celebrations of needing a new car or college or any of that kind of stuff, that cash value of their permanent policies, I will, as a parent, will be able to distribute that as I see fit, and so that's part of the planning for them. And then ultimately, I hope they live healthy, full lives. And but as we all go on, they will have substantial amounts on them to leave behind to the next generation. But that doesn't leave them off the hook. That doesn't mean that they don't need life insurance. It just means that they need to put that on their children going forward.
Yeah, and that's the blessing of talking about, generational wealth and generational inheritance, because, a lot of times we live in a generation right now where everything is about me. Right now, I want instant gratification, and we don't think about delayed gratification being a blessing to those that we leave behind. So I think schooling them on that information of having life insurance at an early age is a wonderful thing. But Nate, the question I have is there a waiting period between coverages from the time that the person dies to not that person dies, but when the person first gets the coverage and when the coverage kicks into effect?
So each company may run themselves differently. I know that with New York Life, if you, at the time of application, if you put money down with your application with us in good faith saying that you want this policy, New York Life will insure you through the underwriting process. And so that guarantees that if anything were to happen to you, up to 3 months into the process, because sometimes underwriting can take some time. It's a chance for our underwriters to check your health and and then go request medical records, and your doctor office is not always cooperative with that. But you can be insured instantly through that. Then once that policy's in place, or even through that, for New York Life as a company, it takes about 7 days for them to get that benefit to your family. But again, it's not having good relationships, like you said, with your insurers. Companies work differently, and policies have different stipulations in them. And so there's some guaranteed policies that people invest in, and they have no underwriting involved in them, but they have very fine guidelines that if you pass within the first 2 years, you only get the premiums that you put into them back, and so your family doesn't get that full death benefit that they see they see you sending checks for each month, and so you got to be aware of that. Yeah,
and it's good to know that you have to do your research. Mm-hmm. You don't want to just go with just any company, but you want to go with a reputable company that's been around for a while, and also that has a good reputation. Does every life insurance have to have a physical with it?
So I would say every personal life insurance. So let me backtrack. Juvenile policies with New York Life do not require physicals. Okay, and physicals is probably the wrong kind of word to use, because what we do require is labs. So that's blood work and a urine sample, and then medical history. And so that's typical with life insurance policies, and that's the difference. When you apply for yourself, that should be the process, and that's how you get your rating again, and you have that excellent rating based off your conditions. If that's not involved in the process, then you're probably getting a group policy, and so you're probably, if you're healthy, you're probably paying more. You could be paying more than you should be, because you're coming at an average. They're taking the group as a whole and saying this is the average that we'll insure you guys for. And so, but when you're applying personally, that should be a part of the process, and you should. But the benefits of a group policy is if you know that you're not in the best health, and you know that you may have some medical history, just not in yourself or in your family, those group policies can get you in. Where applying personally, you may have some challenges because of your health.
Oh, right on. So you said juvenile doesn't need to have an exam. So what's the age of the juvenile?
Okay, so the age of a juvenile is 14 days. So you can insure a child. You have to have a personal relationship with that child at 14 days of age, and that insures them for the permanent duration of their life. And then you get into complex things as writers, so you can add some other goodies onto the policy to enhance the benefits of that policy over time. But yes, when we're talking about insuring our kids, I remember going to an elementary. There was a young lady who passed away of leukemia, and so had she been insured, at birth, she could have, at least something would have gone to the family in the wake of her passing, but after we come across some of these things, living in this fallen world, the people who want it are the ones who can't get it, because that medical history has already been established, and sometimes it's not, it's kind of a gamble. It's a gamble for the insurance company, and so they're really hedging their bets on long life, and so that's why people get denied when they have those various things that they encounter.
So can you increase or decrease the benefit amount after your plan goes into effect? So if I'm starting off with 100,000, but I want to go up to 200,000, does it change drastically?
Okay. So life insurance is sort of a contract, and it's a one-sided contract, because most of the onus is on the insurance company. It doesn't affect your credit or anything like that if you default or you don't make your premiums or anything. But because it's a contract, you can't increase that policy per se. Okay, you can apply for additional life insurance, and sometimes there's guidelines that certain companies use to get you additional life insurance using already on file medical records, and so that's a good way to increase yourself. But once you have settled on a policy, that usually stays in effect as that policy.
Okay. So how much life insurance should I consider as? Does it vary from person to person?
Okay. And so that's an excellent question. One of the biggest things is that in our community, and just as a whole, that we don't insure ourselves properly. Okay. We think when we have insurance, at least if something happens to me, I can pay off the car, or I can pay off the house and settle some debts. There's a big major factor especially in two-parent homes or families,
Yes.
that is overlooked, and that is your income. That is your ability to work. You are an asset. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so, how many years do we need to supply your income? If something were to happen to you, is a factor that many people leave out of their life insurance planning, and so that should be factored into how much you need. And then again, it's really your stage in life, But the ultimate plan for life insurance should be. Term has a purpose, and so you should have an idea of your expenses and your need as a family and how long you need that. And so most times when I sit down with a family, I base it off of the youngest child, or retirement, whatever, to get some form of a period on how long we need this term, because because it's temporary, because it doesn't give us money back.
Right.
We don't want to overpay for it, and we don't want to have it longer than we need it. And so then the plan is to again supplement with something permanent, so that as that drops off, we can at least meet college needs or final expenses or something like that with something permanent. And so it's really trying to find that right number for the family, and so it's different for each individual, but it's really using products together in order to meet that need. And then it's also to consider, what's the budget? What does your income say? Because the last thing we want is for people to lapse their policies or not to be able to continue with their policies. And so a lot of factors go into meeting with a life insurance professional to get to that amount.
Yeah. So, I'm used to, sometime when we watch, movies on TV, they always have this, funny thing going on with who's a beneficiary and should they get the money or shouldn't get the money. Question I would have for you is, who should be the beneficiary, and can you change the beneficiary?
Okay. Excellent question. And so the beneficiary, like people buy life insurance because they love somebody or they owe somebody, and so and they don't want it. But even when you owe somebody, you love somebody because you don't want to leave them with the burden of covering your expenses, right? And so the beneficiary should be somebody that you trust. You know what I mean? Somebody that you trust to handle your affairs, but then also part of this protection foundation that we established with New York Life is that electing a beneficiary is not the only part of the puzzle. You need a will, you need a trust. You need these other things in place to make sure your money's going where you want it to go, because that's really what ultimately your decision. You know what I mean? But there's so many examples in families of heartache of what happens when you elect the wrong beneficiary, or to that you want to maintain and keep up your beneficiary, because in some instances there's people who have ex-spouses as their beneficiaries. They pass away, and then the current spouse has lots of difficulty getting to that benefit that the family needs, and so can you change the beneficiary? Yes, and you should update and be in communication with your insurance agent regularly, so that when it happens, because you're no longer there to make decisions, you're no longer there to direct the discussion. Your will is laid out.
Another question that's coming to my mind. I love how when we keep dialoguing, more questions keep coming to my mind. So, is there times that insurance companies might not pay out the benefits to that policy because of something maybe the person did, whether it be suicide or something like that, all those factors.
Okay. So there are investigation periods, and how stringent certain companies are. Again, that's based off of their rating, so New York Life is a top rated company, and so it's based off of their own company's thing. But if you intentionally mislead on your application, I believe it's up to like maybe 3 years that the could be more. The life insurance company can dispute a claim and not pay out. When you mention suicide, it's not common knowledge, but usually if suicide happens after 2 years of the policy, the insurance company will still pay out, because the mindset behind that is if someone's thinking of committing suicide, they'll do that recently. They don't usually hold on to that thought more than 2 years and do that. So so there are some stipulations where the life insurance companies will can dispute a claim.
Okay. May I ask, are there lifestyle factors that can increase or decrease a plan that's in effect. So if I work as a firefighter or policeman, and their policy compared to mine being a clinical support specialist, which is basically a group leader, group facilitator, would there be a variation if me and the guy or the woman were in the same age, same categories, everything would line up, but our professions are, one is, a little bit more hazardous than the other. Would there be a major difference in the policy?
Right. So at initial, application, there will be, and there could even be a denial based off of what you do. Again, there is a rating system, and so the riskier the profession, it can, pilots,
right?
They get rated. But the other side of your question that I heard, if you already have a policy in place, nothing can be changed about that policy, and so the life insurance company cannot come back and withdraw your insurance or increase your premium on you, to the best of my knowledge, because that is a contract that's been in place. They've already done their underwriting, and so that's it, But they do their due diligence ahead of time, again, and you don't want to be misleading. But if that's where life takes you, 5 years into a policy or 10 years into policy, your policy is your policy. But yes, at application, yes, there's your occupation, again, your build, your health history, your family's health history, again, life choices. So smoking is a factor. Smoking weed is a factor. How regularly you do that. Insurance companies mostly test for nicotine, but again, if being honest in the interview part, because there is an interview, a health history interview that usually accompanies the application. If it's admitted to that it's a daily habit for you, then that can help you. It's a big thing too. I mean, I don't know how much life insurance companies want this out there, but mental health is a big factor. So if you're on multiple medications for mental health, that can also be a factor in whether you will be successfully insured through a life insurance company, because again, that plays onto the factor of morbidity. How will you take your life? And so all these factors get paid. But because life insurance companies go through all this, because they go through all this research ahead of time, and the process can be cumbersome. Once you have your policy is your policy.
Mm-hmm. Man, that's awesome, Nate. So, what made you get into insurance in the first place?
Wow, that's a good question. That's not one I'm prepared for. But I always like to liken. I like helping people. I like serving my community, and I know that this is a gospel-filled ministry for you as well, and that's how I feel about my choice in career in life insurance. I have a finance degree from the U of A. COVID lent itself to me returning to this field of work, and there was a lot of opportunity that I saw in this, and so that's really what's brought me here. Is I get to be in front of people, I get to educate, and then make sure that substantial plans are in place so that families can live their best life if something were to happen.
Right on. So I definitely want to ask this question. So we still have some people that are going back and forth, teetering on, whether I should get life insurance or not. Give me some great benefits of why you should get life insurance.
Why you should get life insurance? Life insurance is just what you said in the beginning. If you love somebody, okay, and so there's another two reasons why people get life insurance. It's either need or greed, okay, and so you need it because you got a family and you want to do the responsibility thing. But if you're young, and I know that there's principles and ideas floating around Instagram and Facebook and YouTube about infinite banking and the benefits of whole life. If you're young, think ahead, okay? And that's the best thing you can do for yourself is listen to the wisdom of this podcast and plan ahead. Save yourself some costs and capture some benefits early and in those discussions. And so the benefit of life insurance is just that, if you need it, get it and sit down with somebody to make sure you're getting the right amount. $1 million policy is not as expensive as you would think it is. You know what I mean? And we've seen inflation. That's really what it takes for a family to survive in these days. And so take care of yourself that you can have access to that, and then have it for the amount of time that your family is growing or in need of that.
Yeah.
But then plan ahead. And so that greed part for our younger listeners, families are ahead. You know what I mean? We say, I'm never going to get married, or I want to live this way forever. You know what I mean? Lock those things in, plan ahead, because you never know what God has in store for you. And so and then take advantage of some of those other benefits. Be greedy and say, I'm paying myself back, and this is tax-free money that I'll be able to borrow from, and just talk to a professional, and we can let you know the benefits of that in your portfolio. But those are the two main reasons I think life insurance are very important. And again, you just don't know what turns life will take, and so you really just want to protect yourself.
Oh, I'm so grateful for you, man. You have been such a blessing to me in understanding this whole life insurance game. Question for you, because you work here in Tucson, Arizona. If somebody was listening in North Carolina or Michigan or California, could they call you to work out a life insurance policy for them there, or would they have to reach for somebody local?
So I would, it depends. I come across different people. It just depends really on the level of sincerity, and earnestness of wanting the policy. But me as an agent, I'm registered in certain states. And so North Carolina is one of them, South Carolina, Texas, California, Washington, Iowa. And so there's some registrations I got pursuing some opportunities that didn't work out. But if the first person's family, if the person's serious, I would go the lengths of registering in their city or in their state in order to, help their family, because that's really what this is about, and that's how we grow our practices as agents, is really helping, and then word of mouth and introductions to deeper levels of people's families and their networks, so that we can help, because that's really what we want to do. And that's really how families continue to be successful, because they have a plan, and that plan is to have life insurance in place in case something happens.
That is awesome. So, my brother, would you be so kind as to give the people your information so they can reach out to you?
Yeah, so I'm a local agent here in Tucson, Arizona. My phone number is 520-229-7567. That's 520-229-7567. And I respond to text, even if you just want to have ask some questions further on the conversation that you've heard today. Always available. And we work with our office is about 50 agents full. And so when you're working with an agent with New York Life, we do so much more than just life insurance. And it's a foundational part of financial well-being, but there's so much more that we offer in terms of retirement planning and family planning, that if you have those questions as well, that New York Life is there to answer those questions for your listeners as well.
Yeah, it's a tremendous blessing knowing that you have that security, that if something happens to you, because like I said, we're not promised tomorrow, but it's a blessing to know that you are leaving behind a legacy for your family financially and from the lifestyle that you live. So Nate, I'm so grateful that you've taken the time out to be with me and answer some of these questions that go through people's minds, because I'm a firm believer in my life where I'm at now. If you do not know the answers to something, please kill your pride, kill your ego, and ask somebody for the information. So I am so grateful for you, man. Got nothing but love for you, and I want the best for you and your family, man. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you so much, Brother John. Happy Liam to you. And it is really an honor and a blessing just to be on your podcast. I know you told your relationships close, and I'm really happy to be in that circle that you keep close to the chest.
All right. Thank you, my brother. God bless everybody. We'll see you next time on the Bacon Bits.